Hello and welcome to Micro Live. Tonight we'll be looking at a piece of equipment which makes a nonsense of most computer security measures and has serious implications for anyone holding personal data.
And if you still have any faith in the micro after that, we discover how small businesses can use ready-made software to really take off. MicroLive has been examining extraordinary and disturbing evidence that the information displayed on computer screens can be read from a distance using inexpensive electronic equipment. Not only is this easy to do, but we believe that the consequences for anyone holding personal or sensitive data on a computer are far-reaching. It's clear to us that most computer users are unaware of the technology we are about to show, and that some of them will need to take urgent steps to safeguard their data against this form of surveillance.
Well, here is a piece of confidential information. Please enter your password, it says, and I'll just finish it off. There it is. And fortunately for me, you can't read it. Or can you? Any piece of equipment like this contains thousands of electronic switches. As those switches change state, they give out radio signals in all directions, and those signals can be picked up some distance away. This is the kind of equipment you would need. It was assembled for just about £1,000, no more than the cost of an ordinary personal computer. And while I've been talking, Sean Walker, who designed the equipment, has been tuning in. Sean, what have you got here?
Well, basically, Fred, all we've got is a suitable area, which in this case is a CB antenna. We've got a VHF multiband manually tuned receiver, some signal processing, fed to a synchronized visual display unit.
Right, let's put that rather more simply. This is a kind of souped-up version, I think, of a television receiver, is that right?
That's correct, it's just a little bit more wideband.
Right, greater frequencies then. And this you call a synchronized VDU. Synchronized to what?
Well, the data we're receiving has no synchronizing pulses, so what we do is generate our own and add it with the data.
So you are tuning the timings of this machine into the timings of the IBM Micro over there?
That's correct.
Right, okay, well here's the acid test. What is my password?
Domino.
Domino is correct. Let's see where it is. It's just drifting off the screen a bit, but if we compare that with the original screen, ah yes, there it is, there is my password, Domino. Very good reception. Now you may think that we're simply eavesdropping on this screen. Today we were challenged by the manufacturer of a flat screen monitor who believed that his screens were totally safe. But in fact, the monitor makes very little difference. Even if I disconnect this altogether, well, see what happens. Right, it's in at the moment, I pull the plug, and the information is still there. So, where are those radio signals coming from?
Well, they're being generated internally in the microcomputer by its switching pulses, which generate transients, which generate a carrier wave for the data to go out on.
So it's every part of the micro, virtually?
Every part of it.
Right. One might think that there would be safety in numbers if you've got a whole room full of micros, all the same, that you couldn't zero in on any particular one. Is that right?
Once I got the horizontal frequency, I would then change the directional aerial.
And you could do it?
And I could then zoom in on the determinant I want.
Was this tricky to build?
No, it's quite straightforward, quite basic. Any hobbyist, amateur radio enthusiast could probably put a system together simply in a few evenings.
Right. This I know cost about £1,000, but you've also built a much cheaper version using this television. Now, I don't think this is exactly an ordinary portable television, is it?
No, this is a type of television which is bought by amateur TV enthusiasts to receive continental stations.
Again, it's got a wider frequency
It's got
range.
a wider frequency
But
band.
still available for about
It's
what?
available about £80, £85.
Right, and what have you done to it?
All I've done is disconnect the synchronizing circuit inside, build a external synchronizing box from components you can buy in any high street shop.
Yes.
And what
Cost of that?
Oh, about £3 or £4, somewhere in there. What you end up with?
Right, now we're tuning in at the moment to an Apricot micro over there, and yes, I can certainly see the word apricot as it drifts across, and that is amazing reception. Is it because the Apricot is worse than most micros?
Well, I think they should have a broadcast license.
Right. Thank you very much, Sean. Well, believe it or not, despite the success of that, a live television studio with all its cameras, lights, radio, microphones and so on is probably the worst environment for this kind of demonstration. What happens if you try it outside, in the outside world? We sent Stephen Arkell to find out.
We've transferred the screen reading equipment into this van and moved into the City of London at Finsbury Circus. This van isn't specially adapted. In fact, all we've done is put a Citizens Band aerial on the roof and plugged it into the equipment in the back, which is running off two 12-volt car batteries. can see Treasury convertible stock coming up there. Tender oversubscribed. How difficult was it to get that?
It took approximately 12 minutes.
Yeah.
I need to work on it a bit longer, then we get all the rest of the details there.
The first screen proved to have very little information on it, so we moved into Coleman Street, which contains a number of international banks. It looks as though there might be some interesting data on this.
Certainly looks that way.
That's very clear. We've got Taiwan unsurprised by US trade moves. Industry officials say retaliation was the only option. A slight jiggling around here. How easy was it to get a screen like this?
A couple of minutes of locating the frequency, then locating the horizontal frequency, and just moving the vehicle up and down just to get optimum performance.
It was that easy. Yeah. We've got in bold at the top yearly indications. Euro-dollar bonds seem flat to 1/8. That probably means something to somebody. And US Treasuries flat to up to 1/10. February funds open. So I suppose that sort of information could be used to commercial advantage.
If you understand what you're reading.
Yeah. I presume this is something to do with their internal information system, which they like to keep quite private. How easily could this sort of screen be stored?
Well, you could store it on videotape, or what I would prefer is a frame printer, which would print one complete frame of what you're seeing at the moment.
You'd actually get a printout
You
of
can
that screen.
print of that, which would allow you to examine it in more detail later on.
Yeah. Could you actually get the definition a little bit clearer if you used a printer?
Yeah, you could by taking several frames on different frequencies, slightly different frequencies, as I'm demonstrating there, and bits which are missing, or not too clear, you could then obviously combine and read.
We've moved around the corner now, and we seem to be getting some sort of prices or pound signs down the side there. We've got quite a few small shops around here. What sort of equipment do you think this is being seen on?
Looking at the horizontal scan frequency, it's a conventional computer you buy from your ordinary retail outlet, your high street shop. What it's displaying, all I can see is times, prices, and looks like odds.
Yeah, we can see £10.13, for instance, £12.41. The computer screens that we've been reading from a van in the street are housed behind the substantial walls of the City of London. This demonstration shows there really is a major problem with the security of data displayed on a computer terminal. If we were able to do this in the City of London, where secrecy and security have always been paramount, then the problem isn't just confined to Britain, it must be worldwide.
Obviously, we've been very selective in what we chose to show in that film. But during our investigations, we were able to read very personal data. In particular, the details of one couple's mortgage arrears with the Cheltenham and Gloucester Building Society.
The Ministry of Defence has known about this problem for some time and has devised a set of radiation specifications which computers must meet if they're to be considered secure. The code word for these specifications is Tempest. The problem is that Tempest-proofing a computer costs money. In fact, it virtually doubles the price of the machine.
The specification of a Tempest is on the official secret list, so secret that when we asked Oceanics, a leading manufacturer of Tempest equipment, for a demonstration machine, they were refused permission to lend us one.
Here, however, is a simple solution. This black box, which has been designed again by Sean Walker and is about to be produced by DataSafe of Cheltenham. It costs about £100. If I switch it on and off, you'll see what happens to the reception down there. First of all, switch it on and off again and on, and it totally clouds the issue. Sean, how does this work?
Well, it works by emulating and cloaking the data emissions from a terminal.
So, in other words, it transmits the same kind of frequencies, but garbage data.
That's correct.
Now, obviously, it is sending out a lot of radio signals. Is that legal?
Of course it's legal, absolutely.
It doesn't infringe any existing or planned specifications for radio?
None whatsoever.
Sean, thank you very much.
Personal computer manufacturers don't advise their customers that the screens can be snooped on in this way. Stephen Arkell went to Compec, the computer industry showcase, which took place at Olympia this week, to confront the manufacturers with our findings.
Other direction.
The moment we entered Compec, we picked up an extremely strong signal which we could read from halfway across the hall. Eventually, we tracked down its source. Epson had just unveiled a new personal computer, the PCAX, that morning, and sure enough, when I went inside the stand, that was the computer we had been receiving. Ian Phipps of Epson showed me its security device. So you'd say that data was totally secure on this machine?
Yes.
Well, we've got a demonstration just around the corner. Would you like to come out and have a look at it? We're demonstrating data security on PCs and computers.
Yes, fine.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Just come around here. We can see there the screen of that PCAX. Would you say there was a major problem with security on the screen there?
Well, we are very close to the computer on the stand. I suspect that if this was a mile away or outside a large building, it might not have the same effect.
But we have, in fact, been reading the screen from more than 100 yards away, further on down. Don't you say that's a major problem?
I would say that that screen is very indistinct, actually. I would say you would have very great difficulty in reading that.
If you use a printer, you can, in fact, make that screen come out very clearly indeed, given a bit of time. Wouldn't you say that was a major security problem for corporate and professional users?
Possibly. If there is a very sensitive area, there are products around that will actually shield your computer, or whether you can actually use various other methods that are used by the security services to blank off transmissions from a room.
Do you fit those products to that machine?
Clearly not, no, but there are companies that will do that for corporate customers.
At an extra price?
Of course.
Yeah. Cypher make the monitors for British Telecom's terminals. This was the data as it appeared on their monitor, and it showed up on our equipment like this. Now here we're reading some data from a screen just over here on your stand. Do you think that's a serious problem?
No.
Why not?
Well, the reason being is if people are really worried about radiated interference and people monitoring screens, they will in fact put the terminal in a sealed, shielded building. And that's the way people are tending to go nowadays. If you are worried about security, you'll find that they tend to use normal terminals rather than, say, Tempest-approved terminals, and they will put them in a completely shielded building.
But that costs a lot more money, doesn't it?
No, because you find the buildings are purpose-built. So if you're putting in a new computer and a new system, obviously you're going to have a special purpose-built building anyway, so therefore you might as well build the shielding in initially.
Why aren't terminals like this fitted as standard with a device that would just jam that sort of radiation?
Because it's expensive.
Well,
and because the market has gone away from heavy Tempest-approved terminals. They are basically a very expensive terminal.
We've actually been out and demonstrated this in the street outside banks in the City of London. Don't you think they ought to know about this problem?
I think that's the bank's problem.
I see. So it's not your problem that this
It's
computer
not our problem.
is emitting this sort of radiation?
No. All terminals do the same.
Although some personal computer manufacturers seem to be aware of the problem, they don't seem to be too worried about it. It is astounding that their attitude is so casual. After all, the problem is fundamental to the security of computer data.